So we have in this passage from the book of Revelation to St. John the Divine, a frightening, kind of frankly terrifying kind of vision of kind of the hosts that have been released from the fiery pit to scourge the earth. And basically, I think that one of these things as we hear the imagery of this vision is to not get caught up in the details, and that's a common mistake. Is like, okay, what do they got the teeth going on, and they got the hair and breastplate, and the stinger, and so we tend to get caught up in all those fearsome details. But what is, in a sense, what is attempted to be communicated is, again, from the meta narrative here, is that essentially these are designed to be the kind of, if you will, personified, kind of mechanistic presentations of war chariots and the engines of war, and kind of an approaching army, and symbolizing the violence that humanity kind of conducts against itself. And so we have to remember these are not the heavenly hosts of angels that are kind of with their scorpion stingers and all that these are the hosts from the other direction, from the pit of death, and that in a sense humanity in its rebellion against God, right? So this is, so we, last week we had this vision of the heavenly court and the praise of the saints, and then it's kind of like, meantime on planet Earth, this is what's going on. Humanity is unleashing against itself the powers of collective powers of destruction. You might call them systemic powers of destruction upon one another. And in the face of this onslaught, right? And so it says, people will seek death, but they won't be able to find it, that they can't find any way to deliver themselves. And, since they're so powerless, they can't even die. And in a sense, it's the despair of societies, of people that have given up hope. Right? A society that has given up hope, it has tried, since it can't even find a good way to die, it can't find even a good cause to commit itself to. And in that hopelessness and in that despair, they can't die, but they're afflicted. It's like nothing can get better, and they can't make things better. And ultimately, in the midst of the violence that humanity systemically pours upon itself, our deliverance must come from God Himself. And that's what the meta narrative is trying to communicate, that humanity releases upon itself forces of wickedness and death that transcend human comprehension and human the ability of humans to cope with that, and that ultimately we must rely on the victory of God's love, the victory that the Gospel of Matthew speaks of, in which in Jesus will the Gentiles, the peoples of the earth, in Him will they hope, and He will bring justice to victory. And so in the midst of hopelessness in the world, we're called to proclaim the hope, the joy of Jesus's own victory, and that all the hosts of earth are powerless in the face of powerless love. And that's the paradoxical proclamation of the followers of Jesus, and how we are called to that. Those are the prayers of the saints that rise up and will be vindicated when the Lamb who was slain comes in His victory. So despair not, be of good courage. Don't be afraid of those little scorpion things and the riding and the sounds of many chariots. It's like, as fearsome as it is, we are, as followers of Jesus, are in touch with a power that will abide, and against which the gates of hell itself will be unable to prevail. A reading from the Revelation to St. John the Divine. The fifth angel blew his trumpet, And I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given authority like the authority of scorpions on the earth. They were told not to damage the grass of the earth, or any green growth, or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torture them for 5 months, but not to kill them, and their torture was like the torture of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days, people will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. In appearance, the locusts were like horses equipped for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces, their hair like women's hair, their teeth like lions' teeth. They had scales like iron breastplates, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle. They have tails like scorpions with stingers, and in their tails is the power to harm people for 5 months. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. The first woe has passed. There are still 2 woes to come. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.